Family Guy has insulted every country on the planet, from Germany to India, from France to Mexico. No nation is safe from the show's brutal cultural mockery. Let's start with Germany. Family Guy has roasted Germany multiple times.
I'm not seeing anything about German history between 1939 and 1945. There's just a big gap.
Everyone was on vacation!
And the jokes mainly revolve around the same thing. It's history. In Road to Germany, Stewie and Brian accidentally travel back to Poland on September 1st, 1939.
Hey, look at this. September 1st, 1939.
The episode is a direct parody of 1940s war films, including The Winds of War and U-571. Stewie, Brian, and Mort escape via U-boat.
We're being pursued by two objects. Looks like one's another U-boat.
Fight in the Battle of Britain. And Stewie even disguises himself as Hitler to obtain uranium.
Hey guys!
Hitler!
I don't suppose you boys have some uranium I could borrow?
Oh, of course.
There's a famous scene where Stewie and Hitler mimic each other's movements in front of a mirror. This is a direct parody of the 1933 Marx Brothers film Duck Soup. It's one of the most iconic German references in the series. In another episode called German Guy, Chris befriends an elderly puppeteer named Franz Gutentag. The name itself is a pun on the German greeting Guten Tag. Franz is later revealed to be a former concentration camp guard.
Chris is friends with a Nazi! What? At first I wasn't sure it was him, but I got a closer look. And now there's no question in my mind. Franz Gutentag is really...
The episode heavily references the film Apt Pupil, featuring themes of hidden pasts. It's dark, controversial, and classic Family Guy. The show constantly makes jokes about Germany's history.
Talking about Germany invaded Poland in 1939, and
We were invited! Punch was served! Check the...
Concentration camps, the Luftwaffe, and stereotypes about German efficiency. Canada gets roasted more than almost any other country in Family Guy. The show portrays Canadians as overly polite, boring, and obsessed with hockey and maple syrup. There are constant jokes about Canadian politeness. There's a scene where a Canadian doesn't react to a plane crash in their backyard because they don't want to be rude.
Oh, I live right over there.
What? A plane crashes in your backyard and you don't say anything?
This is Canada, eh? I thought it might be rude to intrude on your plane crash.
And in Road to the North Pole, and when Brian and Stewie experience car troubles,
Damn it, it won't turn over. Right.
an incredibly courteous, stereotypical Canadian offers them his snowmobile, his money, and even one of his legs.
But if you like, you can take my snowmobile. If you like, you can have all my money and my legs.
In Girlfriend Day, the entire episode focuses on a trip to Canada. There's a Canadian strip club where the model is wearing dozens of layers, and the announcer is heard saying, "Put your mittens together,"
Fellas, put your mittens together.
portraying Canada as too cold. Family Guy also mocks Canadian vocabulary, particularly the word "a" at the end of sentences.
This is Canada, eh?
You might need a hose, eh?
Every Canadian character uses it constantly, which exaggerates the linguistic stereotype. In The Sun Also Draws, Peter explicitly states that Canada sucks at the end of the episode.
Canada sucks.
This caused controversy in Canada, but the show didn't apologize. They doubled down on the mockery. Canada gets roasted for being too polite, too boring, and too cold. But Canadians mostly laugh at these jokes because they're so over the top.
A, eh? Oh, so you are with AAA. Oh no, that's AAA. I just came...
In Foreign Affairs, Bonnie and Lois take a trip to Paris.
You ready to go, Lois? I sure am. Oh my God, Bonnie, we're gonna have such a good time.
The episode is filled with French stereotypes. The show portrays French people as rude, arrogant, and obsessed with romance and infidelity. Every French character is either a snob or a romantic. There's even a scene where a Frenchman flirts with Bonnie and references a baguette.
Would you like to sample a warm French baguette?
Oh my.
Bonnie then meets Francois, another paraplegic, and considers staying with him.
Bonjour.
Lois, this is Francois.
Again, staying on the theme of Paris being a city of romance, where affairs are normal and accepted. The French language is also heavily mocked, perhaps most infamously in the folk scene. Peter and Chris learn the French for seal through various phrases and images. France gets roasted for being cowardly, pretentious, and obsessed with romance. These jokes appear so frequently that they've become a defining feature of how Family Guy portrays French culture. In Road to India, Brian falls for a tech support worker named Padma.
you know, Padma, I love Indian food.
but I'd have to say my least favorite curry is ham.
and travels to India to meet her. The episode is filled with Indian stereotypes from start to finish. The show portrays India as overcrowded, chaotic, and filled with call centers. Every Indian character either works in tech support or drives a tuk-tuk. The episode heavily references Slumdog Millionaire. Brian appears on the Indian version of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Who wants to be a millionaire?
Hosted by Anil Kapoor, voiced by himself, it's a direct parody of the film. The episode's conclusion features a Bollywood-style musical number featuring the entire cast. While visually impressive, it treats Indian cinema as exotic and strange rather than just a different filmmaking style. The show makes jokes about overpopulation. There are scenes of overcrowded buses, streets packed with people, and Stewie joking that he finally found a cab with less than 9 people in it.
Tranquil, I'm tearing up. Come on, I think I see a cab with less than 9 people in it.
In one controversial scene, jokes are made about the bindi, the traditional mark worn on the forehead.
Not me. Mine is actually an Aladdin costume last Halloween. I never travel without it.
Brian and Stewie escape an angry crowd by pressing the bindis on their foreheads, which causes the men to instantly shut down like machines. This was described as one of the show's most culturally offensive jokes. Critics said it trivialized an important religious and cultural symbol.
We need to finish the number.
But Family Guy aired it anyway. China is constantly roasted in Family Guy. The portrayal of Chinese culture is filled with offensive stereotypes. The show depicts China as a communist dictatorship where everyone works in factories and speaks in broken English with exaggerated accents. In China Doll, Stewie and Brian visit a Chinese toy factory. The episode parodies Chinese labor conditions and global reliance on Chinese-made goods. The show has made jokes on multiple occasions regarding the one-child policy. In Grumpy Old Man, one cutaway depicts death reincarnating someone as a Chinese baby girl.
When a death dies, he gets reincarnated. You're being reincarnated as a Chinese baby right now. Girl.
Only for the parents to immediately try again. The quote, "We are a country of 1 billion guys and 8 girls" in China Doll references this same policy.
We're a country of 1 billion guys and 8 girls.
China gets roasted for its government, its working conditions, and its culture. The show has been condemned by Asian American advocacy groups, but Family Guy continues making these jokes. One of the most roasted countries is Mexico. In Padre de Familia, Peter realizes how lucky he is to be American after attending a Veterans Day celebration. He becomes extremely patriotic and starts showing off his American pride everywhere he goes.
Precious Lois. Boy, I never knew it would feel this good to love my country. It's like loving God or a step-parent. You never really feel him love you back, but
then he discovers a shocking truth. He was actually born in Mexico, not America.
But you weren't born in America. You were born in Mexico.
His mother, Thelma, reveals she went to Mexico for an abortion, but gave birth to Peter there instead.
I went to Mexico to terminate my pregnancy. But God had other plans, and you were born right there.
Once Peter discovers he's Mexican, he loses his job and the family falls into poverty. The show portrays Mexican immigrants as those who do the jobs Americans don't want, therefore exploited and underpaid. Peter ends up working for his father-in-law Carter, living in a settlement with other Mexican immigrants where the living conditions are incredibly poor. The episode features a Cinco de Mayo celebration that showcases Mexican culture through music, food, and family gatherings.
well, kids, enjoy yourselves. Cinco de Mayo is as Mexican as it
In
gets.
another episode called Dearly Deported, Chris's girlfriend Isabella is deported to Mexico, and the Griffins travel there to find her. The episode includes references to corrupt Mexican police who intercept their rescue attempts. The show makes constant jokes about illegal immigration, drug cartels, poverty, and cultural differences. It's offensive, but it's also Family Guy's most consistent country roast. The United Kingdom is not immune to cultural mockery. In One If by Clam, Two If by Sea, a hurricane hits Quahog and destroys the drunken clam. The owner Horace decides to sell the bar to an Englishman named Nigel Pinchley. Nigel transforms the Drunken Clam into a British pub, and this is where the roasting begins.
Copperfield.
Wait. Any pictures of his girlfriend?
Nigel offers the guys a nice warm lager, which disgusts them, mocking the British tradition of serving beer at room temperature. The episode is filled with British stereotypes. There are jokes about British food being terrible, British teeth being bad, and British people being overly polite but secretly condescending. Peter and the guys get so fed up with the British pub that they decide to recreate the Boston Tea Party. They storm a British ship and dump beer instead of tea, declaring independence from British culture all over again. But the roasting doesn't stop there. In viewer mail number 2, there's an entire segment called Chap of the Manor that reimagines Family Guy as a British show. Every character has a British name and speaks with an exaggerated accent.
None for me, Lydia. I'm meeting me mates down at the pub.
Again? But Neville, you spend all your time down at the pub.
The segment mocks British television,
We now return to Britain's most popular game show,
British culture, and British humor. The pub is called The Fox and Pig and Dog and Wolf and Cat and Fiddle and Whistle, making fun of the ridiculously long names of British pubs.
The fox and pig and dog and wolf and cat and fiddle and whistle and cock is for tossers.
The United Kingdom gets treated like America's annoying older sibling who needs to be knocked down a peg. Japan is also frequently roasted for being a country obsessed with technology, anime, and bizarre entertainment. In Road to the Multiverse, Brian and Stewie visit a universe where Japan won World War II and the Griffins are Japanese. The parody is filled with jokes about Japanese culture, where the family worships the man of the household, Peter. The show makes constant jokes about Japanese game shows, portraying them as insane competitions where people do humiliating things. Japan is treated as a country with a culture that is exotic and strange, rather than a country with its own traditions. So why does Family Guy roast so many countries? Because it's part of the show's DNA. Family Guy has always been about pushing boundaries and saying what other shows won't say. So there you have it. Every country roasted in Family Guy, from Germany to Mexico, from China to Canada. No nation is safe from the show's brutal cultural mockery. Which country roast was the most savage? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Thanks for watching.